Thank you for that introduction, and it's a pleasure to be here today. I'd like to teach you some tools on relaxation, not only breathing exercises, but also acupressure. But I'd like to get a sense of the audience of how many people are there with CRPS, or how many are patients? Can I get a raise of hands? Okay, and now can I get a sense of who has used relaxation as a tool for your pain, power against your pain? Okay. Who has used acupressure? Who has been successful? Who has used acupressure and has caused more pain? Okay, we're going to talk about that. I think the trick is not only the points we use, but also how much pressure. The next question I have for you is, who has had acupressure as a massage that's made you have more pain? Okay, that's going to be the key thing that we'll talk about. But first, let's talk about a little bit of history. Now, we know that acupressure is the father of some acupuncture. Now, when I use the word acupuncture, how many of you get scared of acupuncture? How many of you have been told that if you ever use a needle, it's going to make your pain go sky high? Okay, now acupuncture, of course, we know has been utilized and started about 5,000 years ago and was developed in China. But did you know that it was not used first with needles? The first treatment of acupuncture was actually used with acupressure, and actually they used stones. Stones were used. They discovered that there was these acupuncture points, and you see my little guy there, he's got a lot of points in his body. There are 362 acupressure points in the body, so there's a lot of points. Believe it or not, there's some points that will relax you and some points that will give you some energy. So we're going to work on both points. How many of you get tired at the end of the day or sometimes during the day? Who gets most fatigue between 3 and 5? It gets really tired. Okay, that's kind of, that time of the day is the kidney energy. And that doesn't mean you have something bad with your kidneys, but in Chinese medicine, the essence of your energy is coming from the kidney source. So we're going to discover some areas to where I can boost up your energy. So we're going to kind of go over some exercises that are really key and easy for you to use. So when they discovered these acupressure points, first they used acupressure with their hands. They used stones. And they also used their hands. The Chinese or monks would take their hands. Has anyone ever had any kind of energy work called like Chinese healing touch or any therapeutic touch where someone would put their hands above their body and move their energy? That really looks kind of crazy. Did it help you at all? No? Kind of funky, huh? Well, if you can move energy with your hands in the acupressure we do today, believe it or not, not only does it help you with your pain, your energy, but in Chinese medicine, it helps with disease processes, such as diabetes. Acupressure points can help with high blood pressure. If a patient comes into the office to see me and they're there for pain and they have a headache, I actually use acupressure points and can relieve a migraine just with my hands. And the amount of pressure that I used with these acupressure points, if you would take your hands, look at your thumb. You see the color of your thumb, your nail bed? What color is it? If you all just kind of look at your thumb, is it pink? Okay, now take your thumb and your index finger and make that pink color go a little bit to the whitish color. Does that feel like much pressure? Now when you go to get a massage, they take that pressure and make it really deep. So they'll take that thumb and put like 5 pounds of pressure, which is a lot of pressure, which is maybe why when you had acupressure massage, it hurt and triggered your pain. But what we do today when we do some acupressure points, we're going to do with light pressure to give you relaxation and or boost your energy. So again, if you take your thumb to your index finger, we're going to make your thumbnail go from pink to white, so it's a little bit of pressure. Can everybody get a sense of that? Raise your hand if that seems to be a little bit confusing. Any questions? Okay. Now, other ways that you might have known about acupressure, these points, has anyone ever heard that you take some herbs and something called moxibustion that a Chinese acupuncturist might do, that they put herbs above these acupressure points and don't put needles? It will move the energy and help with some healing aspect. And because you are patients that maybe a needle might cause you pain, there's also some electrostimulation, non-needle forms of acupressure. It's something else that I do that helps with pain and relaxation and energy. So has anyone ever heard of doing acupressure or acupuncture without needles? Okay. Have you had it done to yourself? Okay. Did it help you? No. Did it increase your pain? Yes. Yes. Okay. I'm going to show you a gadget, and when I get to it, I'm going to see if you had this very same gadget used. Now, when we talk about acupressure, you wonder, how on earth does this help you? What does this really do for you? Do you know that if you do acupressure, you're going to stimulate your body's own endorphins? Has anyone ever heard of the runner's high? Yeah. Anybody know of a runner that likes to do marathons? I did one over Labor Day weekend. It was the happiest race on earth. Sounds like a good one. It was only 13.1 miles. So when I finished that race and you go across the finish line, you get your medal, and you look down at your toes and you've got a couple of bruised toenails and you know you're going to lose them. And you're thinking, okay, why did I do this? Well, you get a couple of endorphin releases, which is your natural pain relievers. So that's what acupressure will do. Once I would do a pressure on that headache patient I talked about. So if you've got a migraine and I do acupressure on the back of your head, I will release some endorphins. That's the first thing that I will do. It stimulates your brain to secrete these natural pain relievers. And there's two really powerful endorphin releasers. One is called large intestine 4, that LI4. Has anyone ever heard of the headache reliever that's in your thumb, between your thumb and your index finger? Say, oh, I know that one. That relieves headaches. So if you press and squeeze on that one in your muscle, that relieves your headaches. So what do you have to do? Remember that light pressure. Don't make it to where it hurts really bad. But if you press on that, if you want to do some massage and you want to really squeeze out some of those endorphins, just go ahead and just rub clockwise, because that's going to give you a lot of endorphin release. How long do you want to do it? You can do it for about 30 seconds. That's going to release endorphins. That's going to give you some energy boost. So it's kind of like the runner's high, boost energy, helps relieve pain. In fact, if you go to China and you're going to get some surgery done, these are 2 points they will do for analgesic, which will be, if they're going to have surgery done, sometimes they don't use an anesthesiologist. They're going to use some key powerful points, such as the large intestine 4 and the stomach, or ST36. And I'm going to teach you the stomach 36 one because it's a fun one to boost your energy too. So when you do acupressure, you're going to boost up your endorphins, which are your natural pain relievers. And the other thing you're going to do is, now, when you're in pain, are you calm, cool, and collective? You feel like you're just chilling out on the couch watching TV? How do you feel? Anxiety. What is your heart doing? Is your heart pounding kind of fast? Do you feel sweaty? Do you feel calm and cool with your significant others? Or you feel a little irritable? Nah. You don't feel irritable, do you? Nah, not at all. You don't ever yell at anybody, do you? Nah. You sleep good at night? Right? You sleep like a baby, right? You're up and down all night. So what happens is when you're in pain, your fight or flight kind of kicks in, which means that your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight system, kind of kicks in full force. It's almost like you had a pot of espresso.
And your brain is just like on this like surge. So when you use acupressure, you can flip it into that calm, cool, collective point. So what we're going to do is learn those points that can relax you. So I'll teach you some of the most calming points. And I have used it on someone here in the audience. And I'm going to call them Barbie Points. Because I asked her permission if I could call them those points. And it's almost like the melting pot. It's like if I use these points, I'll have patients in my office and they're really anxious, their blood pressure's up. I'll go ahead and use just my fingers. I'm not using my little gadget. I'm not using those nasty needles that we talked about. But I'll just use my hands. Because as a trained acupuncturist, I can use my hands, I can use a gadget, I can use my voice, and I can do some relaxation and use a combination of things. And I can teach you to take home those things today, and you can try them at home. So what we're going to do is try to relax you, and then I'm going to try to get you to wake up at the end of this conversation. That's going to be a tricky one, huh? Now, how many people, not only do you feel anxious when you're in pain, but you kind of feel down and out? Anybody ever feel kind of like you get the blues? So these points, they not only release the endorphins, they also help you with anxiety, but they've also been proven to help with the depression. They also help with inflammation, is the other thing I didn't talk about. Now, how many of you feel like you have inflammation with your pain? Do you get swollen? Yeah. Your skin kind of turns colors? Hard for people to touch you? Yeah, kind of hit the nail right on the head. So we're going to teach you with these points that maybe we can help relieve some of those symptoms so that you can have a better day in combination with things. When I talk about adding relaxation, breathing techniques, and acupressure, I'm not telling you to take away your other therapies. These are complementary. This is to add to things. So there's been studies that have been shown, they've actually done MRIs when they've done acupressure and or acupuncture. And they've shown that in the midbrain that it will relax the body. So they've done MRIs and it will light up on the MRI scanner and it'll show that it relaxes the body. And they've done EEGs. So the EEG is a scan of the brain, and it shows that it will reduce one of the brain waves that makes us have that anxiety. So it's been proven that the acupuncture or acupressure will actually help the body actually reduce the stress and anxiety. And it's been proven that it will do all these things that we talked about today. It's not that it's just a 5,000-year-old ancient art type of treatment, but it's also been proven in the Western medicine. And I wonder if anyone knows why it was brought to the United States in the 1970s. Has anyone heard the story about acupuncture coming in the 1970s? President Nixon had, and it goes between the Secretary of State or Secretary of Treasury, he had his appendix out in China under nothing but acupuncture, no anesthesia. So in the 1970s, the story goes that when he came back to the United States, they approved acupuncture, but somehow it got fallen by medicine in the Western world that it's not as approved through the insurance companies. It's coming more and more back. But the President Nixon brought it to the United States, not to talk about politics, but to tell you where the story comes from, as why it's approved. Can you imagine having your appendix out with just acupuncture? Not to put needles into you today, but all you had was acupuncture. Now, you remember those 2 points we talked about? That one here, large intestine 4, it pumps out so much endorphins that your brain is like receiving like Percocet or morphine. And the other one was the one that's stomach 36. And I'll show you where that one is. So that's what he received, was a lot of acupuncture. So I was telling you about that there's this device, and it's called MPS, and it comes from Canada. And I asked you if you received acupressure without needles. And some of you raised your hand and said that it didn't help you. Now, I'll tell you that I'm the therapist in the state of Arizona. There may be a few, but I'm also one of the instructors. And the company is originated in Toronto, Canada. And the device will actually treat pain, relax you, help you with your mood. And it is treated for all kinds of different diseases. Any kind of pain treatment, also for anxiety, depression, high blood pressure. And I'll show you a picture what the device looks like. Now, because needles are probably the #1 fear amongst adults and children, this device comes in handy, and it is reimbursed by the insurance companies. So I'm going to show you, of course, I show you the fear of needles, and that's probably why, as patients, you don't want to have the needles placed because it could trigger your disease process. Because once you get the poke of the needle, even though it's as thin as my hair, that initial poke might just send that signal of pain to you. So this is what the device looks like. Is this what you were treated with? Yeah. Okay. And it really sent off your pain? Okay. So your body said, heck no, don't do that to me again. So let's talk more about some acupressure. Okay, so now we'll get down to some business. Okay, the first point we're going to treat, which is kind of a funny point, because it's the cleavage point, Sea of Tranquility. And the reason why I say funny, because we look at it is at the nipple line. So on men, it's very easy to find, but on women, depends upon your age. Now I want you guys to start to have a little sense of humor. You got to lighten up. My best teachers on humor were when I worked with kids. Now, if you see me walk out of the crowd here, you're going to notice that my socks don't ever match. And that was because when I worked with kids in the 1980s, I thought there's more to medicine and pain management. I was working with children who had burn dressing changes. They were burned between 20 to 80% of their body. And my job was to be with them during their changes of their dressings. And they had to have their little burn scrubbed, and they had to have sedation. And I found that they had such high anxiety, I had to learn how to do things different than medication. So I studied sense of humor. That's when I got into acupressure, acupuncture, aromatherapy, breathing techniques, and I'm going to teach you one of their breathing techniques that I taught them. And I made it up. I mean, you're going to get a kick out of it. But humor goes a long way. And that's why I told you about, well, if you look at the cleavage line, when I teach this in the class with my students, they always get a chuckle out of it when I start that way. But basically, the Sea of Tranquility is one of the most calming points in the entire body. If you go and you slide down your breastbone, and I have everybody start, slide down your breastbone, and it's actually right at the nipple line or the cleavage line, and it's a little dent into your breastbone. You'll find like a little indentation, but if you slide all the way down and slide down, you'll find a little indentation. Okay, and if you find that indentation, what I'll have you do is take that pressure we talked about, and you're going to go light pressure, because if you go too hard, you're going to go, okay, you just triggered my pain. But if you take and go counterclockwise and you rub about 12 times, and if it's at nighttime, you can't fall asleep, what I tell you to do is just massage that area until you fall asleep, and it works very well. It calms the entire body. That is a channel that goes, it's like a stripe down your front of your body, and it's the controller of relaxation in your body. So it will calm you, take away your anxiety. If you're somewhere, if you're in your car, you feel like you're anxious, you're at a stoplight. Of course, I don't want you to do it while you're driving. That would be kind of bad. But that's a very calming point, and that's why they call it the Sea of Tranquility. This is a super good relaxing point. Did anyone have a hard time finding that point? You did? Okay. When we're done, I can come around and show you that point. But it's very easy. If you slide down your breastbone, you find an indentation. I know it's real easy on men, because if you take your nipple line and draw a line across, it's right on the breastbone. and you'll find that indentation. But remember, counterclockwise is to relax. Clockwise is to speed things up. So counterclockwise, you relax. Clockwise is to energize. The next one is Barbie Point. This is called P6 or Pericardium 6. Has anyone ever heard of those motion sickness bands? The bands that you could get at the pharmacy? Well, this is probably another one of those really powerful relaxing points and anti-nausea point. This is a point that I did use on Barbie during one of her experiences with me that helped her relax before she received a treatment. And I would call it a melting pot point for her, because all I did was I took her wrist, I took my thumbs, and I put on these points, and she just became very calm and just very relaxed. And I could just see the relaxation in her face. And so how do you find that point? If you see your wrist and that the farthest wrist crease, if you just bend your wrist and you see there's a whole lot of wrist creases there, it's the farthest one that's next to your thumb, and you take 3 fingers from that wrist crease. And then if you notice, if you flex your wrist, there's like a couple of tendons. It's right in the center of those tendons. So it's 3 fingers, and then if I lift up my 3rd finger, it's right in the middle. And it's sometimes a little sore. Let's see if I can show you. So if I take my 3 fingers, here's my wrist, okay, and then it's just right in the middle. And if you're off a little bit, there's like 3 dots in a row if you look at an acupuncture dial, and you're not going to be off the point too much. You'll still hit a very calming point. So 3 fingers, I see you right there in the front. Okay, so just lift up your 3rd finger, and you're right on it, right in the middle. Okay, you got it. Okay. It's a very calming point. And what I can do is just make sure that I can check you guys a little bit later. Who can't find it? I apologize, I have the sun kind of east into my eyes. Yes, question. The C-band, the C-band hits that point right on. And you could wear the C-bands. If you say, I'm anxious a lot, the C-bands work great. If you have nausea or anxious a lot, if you put those C-bands on there, that calms people down a lot. That's a super good tool. The C-bands work for P6 or Pericardium 6. It's a great, powerful relaxing point. The next one, the 3rd eye, I put the little eyebrows there, little eyes. If you go right between your eyebrow and you just press, that is such a calming point. If you're like, you know what, Cindy, I'm not feeling it. If you're out of this environment and you're in your own home, the 3rd eye is a super powerful relaxing point. And the last point I'll teach you, which is really easy, have you ever been in line at a bank or supermarket and someone's taken their finger and it's your 3rd finger, your middle finger, and they're tapping? If you just take your 3rd finger and you tap, that is the end of that P6 meridian. It's a calming point. It's actually called P9. But if you just tap your finger, it will take away some anxiety. Does anybody have questions? Yes?
The 3rd eye point, where does that line up with your eyebrows? Is it at the eyebrows or is it higher?
If you take, it's right in the middle. It's just right smack in the middle. If you just took that middle finger and went right in the middle of your eyebrows, it's right smack in the middle. Can you feel it? It's right in the middle of your eyebrows. Any other questions? Yes. Yeah, you can go counterclockwise to relax and go clockwise to energize. Sometimes I have people, they might just be like sitting somewhere and they're anxious. They might just put their head down and then just put pressure on it. But I would go counterclockwise to really relax. Other questions you guys have before I get to do some breathing exercises? Okay, how many of you guys have done some relaxation or meditation breathing exercises? Okay, so how many of you are proficient at breathing relaxation with your belly? Who are belly breathers here? Who are yoga breathers? Okay, who does it naturally? Good. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'll have you guys stand up first. Are you okay standing, or do you want to just sit? You guys would rather sit? Okay, I won't have you stand up yet. Standing up, I'll have you do that last. What I'll have you do is put your hand on your chest and your hand on your belly. Okay, and what the trick is that when you breathe, your chest is not to move. The most relaxation breath is to breathe with your belly. Have you ever watched a baby breathe? Have you watched a puppy breathe? Have you noticed that their chest doesn't rise? It's their belly that rises. And for some reason, we grow out of that breathing pattern. We end up breathing. Now, if I have you first take a deep breath, we'll have everybody take a deep breath in and out. And those of you who are not proficient at abdominal breathing, what we typically do is this. And we're breathing with all of our stress muscles. So the art of breathing relaxation is to use our abdominal muscles so we can start to get the best breath in and out and decrease our stress muscles. And this is hard. When I teach patients to breathe this way, they're like, wow, I don't know if I can do that. So I'll give you a couple of breaths, and then we'll do a little fun breathing. So what we'll do is take a breath in your nose and breathe out your mouth. Okay, now when you do that, do you notice if your chest moves or if your belly is moving? Chest. Okay, now this next time, try to go ahead and push your belly out when you breathe in, and then let your belly fall back down. And we'll do that one more time. Breathe in, and then breathe out. Does anyone find it easy or difficult? So now there's another way I'll teach you to breathe that's just kind of a fun breathing that I taught kids, is if you hear your breath, sometimes it's relaxing. So I'll have you shut off all your sensory, your ears, your sight. So if you take your thumbs and close your ears, and have you close your eyes, and then close your nose. And what I'll have you do is just take a couple of deep breaths and just listen to my words. And go ahead, and if you want to participate, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to, but just shut off your ears with your thumbs, close your eyes with your fingers, and close your nose with your fingers. Take a deep breath in through your mouth and let out through your mouth. And go ahead and take another deep breath in and let out through your mouth. And now relax. All you hear is your breath. You don't have to worry about using your chest or your abdomen. And what I found is that if you're not struggling over having to use your abdomen, you're getting more of a relaxation breathing because you're listening to your own breath. And people find it more relaxing. If they just hear, it's almost like being in a swimming pool, and all you hear is your breath. Did anyone find that relaxing? Which one was easier for you? Second one? So real quick, if you get tired and you have no energy left, go ahead and sit on your hands. This will bring all your energy up. We were taught this in a Qigong class. When I took Qigong, they said to rise your energy, sit on your hands, because you have those 362 acupressure points. You have so many acupressure meridians. If you sit on your hands and you're getting really tired, it's 3 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it will rise all your energy. Now, if it hurts your hands, that's probably not going to be a good idea. The other thing is when the monks would walk for miles and miles and miles, they would get tired. Now here's where stomach 36 or ST36 came in hand. Now if you have pain, you're going to go, okay, Cindy, you're absolutely crazy. How am I going to go ahead and go reach down right below my kneecap and take my fist and put a little bit of pressure? But what they would do with this point is they would hit on this point 9 times. 9 is an important number in Chinese medicine. It would raise all the energy up. Now, if I step outside of the podium here, I'll show you what they would do and see if you guys are up for it. They would bend down, find their kneecaps, and just below their kneecaps, press down 9 times. They go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Breathe. And that will bring the energy up. So have I done it? Yes. Have I been tired and fatigued and tried to do it because I've studied this for so many years? But would you, and I thought about you guys as a patient, I wouldn't press on it very hard. I would just gently tap. You could just use your fingertips because all you need to do is touch that meridian or that acupressure point to bring up your energy. If you say, okay, Cindy, none of those things help me, you're going to make my pain worse and you're absolutely out of your mind. So I said, okay, what else can I do for you today? Laughter. Laughter is the best medicine. When you laugh, you do the same thing you do as acupressure, acupuncture, any of the other energy work. Now think of it. Now smiling is a universal medicine or universal language. If you smile at someone, you walk down the street, it comes back. How many of you watched the movie Patch Adams? Anybody remember that movie? Patch Adams? Oh yeah, okay. How many of you liked that movie? Now I had the pleasure of studying the Gesundheit Institute, which is the Patch Adams Institute. I have the pleasure of being one of their instructors because I love the sense of humor. Because I think that when a patient walks into the office, and when I see them as a whole patient. I don't see you as someone who has pain in your leg, pain in your arm. I see you as a whole person. And that's why my socks mismatch. That's why I make sure that I leave you with a bucket of hope, that your days are going to get better. And how can I add some humor to your life? So I talk about laughter. I talk about many other things. So what can I leave you today with a sense of humor? And how can we incorporate humor into your life? Do you guys watch funny movies? Do you add humor into your life? Is there something that you can share with me that helps you with your everyday life? What boosts your humor and what boosts your energy? Because it can boost your humor. Can you give me some ideas before I share with you about humor?
Join the comedy clubs.
Join the comedy club, there you go. Does anybody go to any of the laughter clubs that are in town? Do you know they exist? You can go actually to monthly laughter clubs and they actually teach you to laugh. If you belly breathe, if you laugh for 30 seconds, you will release endorphins, you will make your pain better. It's those laughter. Remember the last time you laughed so hard that you cried and that you bend back and forth? You actually got the aerobic workout as if you just did running for 2 minutes with me in a marathon. So you have to think about how can you do that laughing exercises. You're like, okay, Cindy, you're absolutely crazy. So here we're going to start with an energy ball. So I'm going to keep you seated because I think if you stand, you're gonna hurt. So most of you guys have a partner. So what I want you to do is imagine that you have, we talk about Chinese medicine, we talk about energy. I think I'm running on my time. It'll take about 2 minutes to finish up. So when I was taught with Chinese medicine, I was taught, well, I have to feel the energy. Has anyone ever played with the energy ball? Okay, so what I want you to do is put your hands together. Okay, now just imagine there's a magnet between your hands. Okay, so can you feel anything at all? Okay, what's that? A lot of energy? Okay, now move it around. Okay, move it like left and right. Okay, all right. Now what color is it? Mine's red and sparkly. Okay, it's soft. Okay, now throw it to your partner. Okay, all right, now throw it to your next partner. Okay, now keep throwing around the room. Come on, no, don't keep it. You can't keep it. You can't keep her ball. Okay, toss it back. Keep tossing it. No, don't keep it. That's not fair. Now keep telling your partner what color it is. Now keep tossing it. Now you can play soccer too. Bounce it off your head if it hurts your hands. Okay. Now keep going. I want to make sure it goes all the way around the room. Okay. Now tell your partner what color it is. Now it's going to keep changing colors. You know how that game played in school. You know, when the teacher tells you what story it was, it's going to change from a soccer ball to a basketball to a Mickey Mouse ball. Now, it stopped way back there. Nobody's playing a game back there. You're going to get in trouble. I'm going to scold you by the time I get back there. Keep playing with that ball. Keep going. Okay, so you guys are not playing over here. You're going to get in trouble. Keep tossing that ball. So you've got some energy in your hands. You're playing with the ball. And you keep playing with it and tossing it back and forth. And remember, if your hands hurt, don't use your hands. Use your head. Use your ear. You can use about anything. So the purpose of this exercise is to get you to play with a little energy, to know that you can laugh, to know that there's more than other things for pain management. I was going to do a meditation, but I think I'm out of time. I will have to ask my moderator. But to bring your energy up, you can do a couple things. Sit on your hands, do the knee point, take the relaxation points, do them counterclockwise. Always remember a sense of humor. Is it smiling at yourself in the mirror? That's your homework from today. Every day you wake up in the mirror, smile. Know that there's a bucket of hope waiting for you. Try to watch a funny movie at least once a week. And always play with your energy ball. You can change the color. You can make it soft, sparkly. And I appreciate your time and energy today, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
We have time for a couple questions. Any questions for Cindy?
And I'd be glad to find those points for you guys if there's...
Just repeat the questions.
Yeah,
Right up to your right. Yes.
What was the utensil or machine that you mentioned that you could use for yourself that the insurance company?
sure. You know, it's called MPS. It's actually from Canada, and we call it E-stim attended treatments, and I do it at the Freedom Pain Hospital. I'm not sure who treated you, young lady.
He was the doctor who's doing the best therapy, the bioenergetic synchronization technique.
Okay, so there's a few therapists in Arizona, not too many. I know that because I teach a lot of the therapists, and we haven't had many classes in Arizona. And so if you want some more information, we can get that to you. Yeah, because I do a lot of the treatments here in Arizona. I know there's a few, but I don't know all of them. And the insurance companies do pay for it because it does not penetrate the skin. What it does is it mimics the needles, and it moves the energy up, down, and balances it. The name has been changed. They've jazzed it up. The Canadians like to improve things or on the research end of things. So I have the unit with me today just to show people if they want to see it. Okay. Sure.
One more question,
Is
please.
it something, though, that the patient would have at their house when there's a flare-up?
Absolutely. You can actually be treated by myself or other therapists, and then you could have it prescribed to you, and you can treat yourself. That's what the goal is, so that you can have self-treatment. You're welcome.
Cindy, would you give people your email if they wanted to ask you a question?
Sure. My email is ccornell@thepain.com.
Could you repeat that?
Sure. CORNELL @thepain.com.
Great.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Cindy, thank you so much.